We're back,
Hey,
baby.
we're back. What are we doing, Justin?
Real quickly. TV shows.
You want me to start this time?
Yeah.
All right, number 5. Wait, hold on. I have 6. So, I think I have an extra one. My extra one is put your hand down because it's casting a shadow. All right, my extra one is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Phenomenal show. I'm very surprised that this was on Nickelodeon because it's such a good show. The writing is superb, especially for a child show. And the action, not the action, like the drawing is kind of like anime, between anime and cartoon. Very interesting. It's a very unique show to be on Nickelodeon. And it's a very good show. Yeah.
My number,
my number 5 too, I'm sorry. Over the Garden Wall. Beautifully animated show. A lot of, like horror, like I can still see the imagery now, like terrifying.
Who's in that show?
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
From Back to the Future. He voices the woodsman. And I remember hearing that, I'm like, oh my god. And also, Ethan Wood? What's his name? Elliot Wood?
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, yes. Elijah Wood.
Also Back to the Future.
He is in Back to the Future. Back to the Future too. That's wild. They just met up there and they're like, yo, you're gonna do great things, kid. He's like, I know. But he does a great job with it. I love, he has like a quiver in his voice. That's just perfect for it. The rest of the cast is so adorable. A lot of the show has a lot of items, like just little everyday items that are mundane, but they make them into something magical, and I love that. I love that. Like the fairy tale part of like, oh, a pair of scissors, a thread, a little songbird. It's beautiful, especially if you love fairy tale stuff. It's perfect to watch around Halloween because it does this weird like flip towards the end or like towards the middle of it, where it kind of jumps into the real world. And it's just thinking about that, I'm like, no one else got it like that. No one else has like that. And that show is, I feel like that's going to be like a timeless show we can watch in like 40 years. It's a really great show. Okay, next.
My number 5. Oh, I have a bonus, which is Parks and Rec.
All right.
I just find that show really fun.
What's number 5?
It's a really fun show. My number 5 is another fun show I grew up on, and I just love because it really brings me back, which is not back to the era, but back to my childhood, which is That 70s Show, baby.
Hey.
I watched this show a lot on TV, just kind of sporadically throughout the years. It was on Netflix. I watched it on Netflix. I binge watched it, and I realized I had watched every episode at some point in my life. I recognize every episode.
That's wild.
Of course, the last few seasons aren't too great. I think the opposite of Parks and Rec, where the first season was kind of okay. That 70s Show started off great, and then the last couple of seasons were whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever Eric leaves, but I just really love the show. I love the characters. I love the the 70s. I love the humor. I love the everything. I just grew up on the show. I think the opposite of my top 5 movies, which is all horror.
I was just about to say
my shows are a little bit more drama or comedy.
It's mostly comedy though.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
My number 4 is MASH. MASH.
Yeah.
Very heavy show. Has a lot of comedy, but it's set in a wartime, and it will remind you that every episode. There's a few episodes that don't have a soundtrack, not a soundtrack, a laugh track. So you're just kind of left to wander around in this quiet like camp where they try to stitch people up that have been blown apart, and you're just fumbling around from scene to scene, and it's really disorienting. And those are some of my favorite parts of the show, when they take away the laugh track. But also, that is such a charming show. It's really cute. I love the music. I love the music in that show. I love that era. It talks about all topics that we talk about now. It talks about like, what is that word when you're judging someone? Discriminating. It talks about discriminating against people of color, homosexuals, just anything you can think of. It talks about it. A woman becoming older and not being married. That was a big deal then. And still you have parents now that are like, oh, where are my kids at? Stuff like that. And I love it. The characters, they're beautiful, I love reading about or watching about how the show was made, especially the ending of the show. It really, really, it grabs me by the heart. I love that show.
We say this every time MASH is brought up, but you try to get me to watch the first episode with you, or try to get me to watch the series with you. I watched the first episode and I thought it was terrifying. Not because of the discrimination or any of that stuff, but because they drug a man and put bandages on his face. So no one will recognize him because they want to go to a party.
That's just comedy gold.
and I found that very terrifying. And I was like, I don't want to watch this.
Fuck Frank Burns. All my homies hate Frank Burns.
My number 3. We're on 3, right? Oh, 3 or 4.
We're on 4. I went first, right? Yeah, you're on 4.
Oh, I have it written over here.
Oh my
My number 4 TV show of all time. Is it finished yet? But I love it. Better Call Saul, baby. Better Call Saul, great show. Vince Gilligan is back, typing that bitch up. I think I've said this before, but I think a lot of this show does stuff better than Breaking Bad. But they're both tremendous shows. Better Call Saul, I think has an easier opening. I think pretty much anyone can watch Better Call Saul and have a good time. Breaking Bad is a little more heavy drama, heavier. Better Call Saul has some
there
more,
are 2 jokes in that entire show.
yeah, Better Call Saul has some more laughs. Still really tense show, but I think a lot of it works better. And the dynamic between him and his brother, the story between him and whatever that lady's name is, I forgot her name. But everybody loves Saul. And it's really interesting to see how he goes from, so because Breaking Bad you want to see where he goes. Better Call Saul is you know where he goes, but you want to see how he gets there. You know? But yeah. Bless you.
Nice. My 3rd is Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yes. I love that anime. It used to be my favorite anime. Might still be.
Cowboy Bebop.
I love it. I'm very excited for the live action series coming in this month. Fuck, it's already November.
Oh yeah, we just watched the roll over to the next month.
November. Cowboy Bebop is a work of art. It is its own thing. I love it. I'm gonna say it's still my favorite anime. It's phenomenal. It's great. It's one of those shows that has like every episode is almost every episode is like a slow burn. Like you're in space, you're on a spaceship, or you're just like waiting for stuff to kick off, or you're on you're on like a weird planet and you're following this character. You're like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but they're gonna be important at some point. They're probably gonna die at the end of the episode, though. Not gonna lie. Introduced a lot of people to anime through Adult Swim. It's a great show. I'm excited for the live action show. I think it's gonna be. I hope it's gonna be cool. The trailers. It looks really good. I'm getting good vibes. Yeah, good vibes off the trailers. It looks really good. My number 3, Dr. Justin's number 3 for the week is The Office. Boom. Wow. I'll be honest with you. When I was a kid and this show came on NBC, I thought it was stupid. It looks really boring. Because my mom would be like, I don't want to watch a bunch of people in the office doing paper and shit. And I think maybe if I watched it as a kid, I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as I do now. Because I know what work is. I know the mundanes of work. I know the monotony of work. I know what it feels like to fall in love at work. I met her at work. Oh my god. Stop. What the fuck? But sorry. Yeah, so I can relate a lot to this show. Who doesn't love Jim and Pam's relationship and watch it to go through? First seasons, figured out who the characters are. The last couple of seasons, a little rough after Michael Scott leaves. But in between that, I love Michael Scott. I love Dwight. I think every character, no matter how big, how small they are within the roles of the show, everyone gets some love on the show. You know? Everyone has their like character moments. Yeah, everybody has like little. Everybody's not just one note. You got Kevin, who's like a klutz. A klutz. It's kind of a. Even Kevin has what'd you say, klutz? Yeah. And a ditziness about him, but he still like has moments where he's really good at shit, like gambling. Like he just kicks ass at gambling. So you have stuff like that. But I think all the characters are just great in the show. Really tremendous. Really good show. Yeah. I love the arcs of like Jim and Dwight kind of poking fun at each other, and then they really show love, like the stairwell scene or him being the best man at his wedding and stuff. I love the Dwight marrying the other girl. Yeah, Angela. Yeah, that was really cool. You ready for my favorite? Yeah. My favorite show is Frasier. I love Frasier. That's your number 2? My number 1. You have another name on that list. Oh shit. Whoops. My number 2 is Futurama. I love Futurama. It used to be my favorite show of all time, but I guess I rewatched the episodes many times. So I guess it's kind of the familiarity. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of tired of it, kind of bored of it. But you don't have the Critic on this list? No. Oh. No, it's not one of my favorites. The Critic is a really good show. It's gold. I don't I do not hear enough references from the Critic or like talking about the Critic. The Critic is such a good fucking show. It's kind of like Futurama before Futurama. Like it just takes so many pulp culture references from shows and movies. And
I didn't even know about the show till you.
It's such a good show. The Critic is really good. And Duckman. I'm gonna throw Duckman in here too. Duckman's funny as fuck. It's a good show. But anyway, we're talking about Futurama. Futurama is amazing. If you're a little bit more like you have a head for science or math, you might find this a bit more enjoyable because you won't think of it as like, oh, it's just a dumb cartoon. It's still like a dumb cartoon, but there is so much science behind it, and they just casually mention it. And I think there was a theory or a formula written for the show, and it's like the first cartoon ever to have a formula written for it. And it's, I don't know, we're listening to music and this guy just like, I'm breathing now. But yeah, Futurama is just golden. They did this weird thing where they kept getting canceled. They kept getting canceled and they kept getting brought back. And they did this season where instead of episodes, they did 3 movies. What other show does that? I love it. I love Futurama. It's such a just fucking thrown together show, but it works so well. I love the last season. The last season's probably my favorite just because it ties everything up. Like it gives everyone a home. And I love it. I love it. Especially Zoidberg. I love Zoidberg's story. So yeah, that's my second favorite show.
My number 2 is Peaky Blinders. Another show I don't think gets enough love. They're really short seasons, expensive show, which I think is why it has such short seasons.
Beautiful.
But some of the best productions I've ever seen in a TV show. Are you done?
Yeah, sorry.
Some of the best productions I've ever seen in a TV show. Some of the best acting. The story's great. They got sweet ass haircuts. Got the blades. One of the coolest shows I think out there. Also got Tom Hardy. I can't understand what he's saying, but I love Tom Hardy and Cillian Murphy. He's cool too.
I like Cillian Murphy.
But Tom Hardy, man, that's a man right there.
Our boys are getting old.
I'm not getting old of them. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Are you ready for my number 1?
Yeah.
My number 1 is Frasier. I love Frasier.
Frasier sucks.
I love Frasier. People that shit on Frasier, they're like, oh, what a pretentious show. It's a show about pretentious characters that get shit on at the end of every episode. So I don't understand why people think like, oh, it's looking down on people. Yeah, but then it twists on them and it kicks their ass for it. It makes them remember, yeah, this person isn't wearing like a nice leather shoe like you are, or they've never had caviar, but it's still a human. I love this show. It's smart, it's funny, it's quick, it's beautiful, like the sets are good. Poor Frasier. If he was a real person, he probably would not have a woman right now. Poor Frasier. I love Eddie, I love the dad. Daphne, I feel like Daphne is my cool ass aunt, you know? I love Daphne. Justin doesn't know who the fuck I'm talking about. Daphne and Niles.
Scooby-Doo?
Yes. Daphne and Niles, I will rewatch that show just for the season that their relationship kicks off. I love that. I waited so long to see that. I cannot imagine watching this show in real time. I think it took 6 years for them to actually like start talking to each other. After like a year of them knowing like each other, like someone has feelings for her, you know? This show drives me crazy. I love this show. Frasier's so good.
Talking about a show, could not imagine watching week to week. And a show I named earlier, which is my favorite show of all time. And no show has ever come close to it. No show has ever told me, no one has ever told me a show is better than this. I think this is the best show of all time. And I will stick by that, bitches. Which is Breaking Bad, baby. If your show has a short intro, I love you.
For real. Look at it, choose Squid Game.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good show too. But Breaking Bad, I said this last time before the audio got fucked up. I watched this show. You didn't fuck it up.
It just fucked up.
I watched this show. I didn't even know what Breaking Bad was. My first introduction to Breaking Bad was going to a rental store called Family Video. My dad looks at this cover of a TV show. My dad was I will judge a book by its cover. My dad saw a cool cover of a movie. He said, "That looks good, Justin." That's what he sounds like. "That looks good, Justin. Let's go watch that." He saw the cover of Breaking Bad season 1. A man in a green shirt, no pants, boots or shoes, and a gun. And he said, "Justin, this show looks funny." this is like a funny show right here, Justin. And I said, I don't know what that is. He's like, well, all right. And I remember that. Thank God he didn't rent it. Because that show got titties in the first season. That show's got someone getting murdered and strangled. Someone putting people in acid baths. Not a good show for kids. Not very funny.
Killing kids.
Not a very funny show.
No.
I mean, it has humor in it.
Like we said earlier, there are 2 jokes in the whole show.
But this show changed TV for me. And, okay, but my real introduction to the show was, I still know what Breaking Bad was. I remember that cover, but I didn't know what the hell, I didn't remember the name of it or anything. I heard a lot of buzz about this show called Breaking Bad. Because I think we had just gotten cable again because we were poor. But I heard about this show called Breaking Bad. The second episode to the season finale was coming on. It's the show, or it's the episode where he's like starting the car in the snow. He's about to steal it. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, I stopped watching it, and I was like, I have to see the full show. Got Netflix, watched the full show, and I was like, I would never watch anything like that ever again, from start to finish. Like that was one of the best things I've ever watched. Like one of the best written things, one of the best shot TV shows. I mean, it's nothing like amazing about the way it's shot, but it's just the consistency of the show. Not a ton of not any plot holes I can think about. The scene where he's like in the floor, like under the floorboards looking for the money. Skylar comes in. She's like, I gave it to this other dude. He starts laughing, crying. I heard someone say that's the moment where Walter White stopped and Heisenberg took over. And then Walter White was the character and Heisenberg was the person from that moment on. That's my favorite scene from any TV show ever. But
I love Skylar's reaction to that scene too. I can feel for her.
I love Skylar. I know a lot of people don't like her, but to me, she is a human being reacting like human beings do. Some people just react in crazy ways, you know?
How else do you deal with your husband of like a few decades, you know? Yeah. He's a simple, quiet, mannered man, you know, very prideful. Oh, he's cooking meth with one of his former students. How do you react to that? And he's gonna die.
I love that people are like, oh, she reacts in such an unrealistic way, or it's so annoying. And it's like her husband reacted to being offered money for care to go and sell drugs and murder people. And it's like, oh yeah, that's realistic. That makes sense. But her being upset doesn't make any sense. Or it's annoying. It's like, she's a human being, you know?
Yeah. Skylar is a better wife than I would have been. I wouldn't have stayed with him, you know? Yeah. She's still trying to make it work. Skylar is a good person in this movie. And later, at the end of the show, I'm a spoiler for y'all, but after he's gone on the run, he's come back. She's still like, they're on the phone where they're like, oh, watch out for Walt. She's like, okay. But she's still sitting down and talking to her husband that ruined her life. She's
still helping him.
Yeah.
But yeah, every character in the show, I mean, your favorite character is Mike.
Mike Ehrmantraut. I love that man.
He's great in this. He's great in Breaking, or I think he's better in Better Call Saul.
Really?
Yeah, you get to see more of him and his family, and who he is as a person. But like everyone in this show is great. You know, I think I think it's a perfect story.
It's a wild story too. I don't know how they pull it up. This show made me think. I've read a few books and watched a few videos where it's like, wow, how do they come up with this shit? This show was like the peak of that. How do you thread together all this stuff in this one show?
And I think they wrote themselves in the corners of the show, and then they're like, because that happened, they didn't flesh out everything every season. They're writing and they're like, oh fuck, how do we get him out of this situation? And then they thought about their surroundings and what the characters knew.
So they MacGyvered their way out of there.
But it's just an amazing show. I really love that show. I think it's the best show of all time. Fuck Planet Earth 1 and 2. They just
how can you say it's the best show? It doesn't have a plot. Like when I think of a show, I'm like, oh, it has a story to it. It has characters. Planet Earth is a documentary. I don't think of a documentary as like a show, like a TV series. You know, I know technically that's what it is, but that's not what I want to turn the TV on to watch. That's what I watch when I want to just think about nothing.
Yeah.
When I just want to be in an aquarium, basically.
Yeah, that's it. That's our top 5, baby.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Where can they find them, Scale? Send them off.
They can find us at The Tall Pine on Twitch. They want to watch us mess around in games, you know, get a bunch of deaths. They can watch us, The Tall Pine, here on YouTube. We have a TikTok where we put our little short shit, because I know y'all love that. Y'all Gen Zs. We're at The Tall Pine 1, number 1. And yeah, you guys should hang around. Tell us jokes. We love jokes. Right. We love funny guys and gals.
I'm a funny guy.
Yeah, funny guy. All right, y'all have a great night.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.